I do it for love. What you do it for? Yeah, do it for.
Hi and welcome to yet another episode of Where's the Manual? Jessy, Chahal, Nadiah, Latif joining you this week as we talk about raising girls from a dad's perspective, Dad's Diaries.
I'm excited, Jesse, because today we're not only going to speak to someone who has the experience of raising three girls, also someone who is a martial arts exponent, something that I'm also very interested in. And he's essentially dad to a lot of other children, not just his own. And he's going to be sharing with us his joys and his challenges of raising children, co-parenting, I suppose, as a single father. Now, who do we have today, Jess?
That's right, we have joining us all the way from Melbourne, Australia. We have Sensei Joe Thambu. Welcome to the show, Joe. Thanks for being with us as we bring you right in.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for joining us today. I know it
Hi guys, selamat pagi to everyone.
all the way from
Great to
Melbourne,
be here.
Australia.
Great to be here.
Selamat pagi to you too. Thanks for accepting our invitation to speak so openly, of course, about your journey, the challenges, highs and lows of, your journey in bringing up children. Of course, most of the time, either as a single parent slash co-parent, and as difficult as that is, we always talk about, how difficult it is for moms. But today we want to kind of put the light on dads as well. Perhaps it's two sides of the same coin, and just to understand better what were some of your emotions and what were some of your innermost feelings when you had come to certain points in your life or in your journey to bring up not just three children but three daughters.
Okay, sure. My eldest daughter, her name is Vivian, and she's now 32. She has a son who's 1.5, and his name's Joseph. He was named after me. My next daughter is Lillian. She's 16, and the youngest is Zarina. She's 14. Going back to something you said earlier, I think a lot of people who are who are single parents or who are co-parenting, look at things as a binary thing. It's harder for the mother, harder for the father who has more responsibilities. I think we need to not look at it like that. We each have a role to play, and it's hard for everyone. Everyone has responsibilities. It's hard for everyone. My partners have done a great job with their daughters, and I do my best as well. I think it's really counterproductive to look at it in a binary sense.
I love that you started with that because one of the things Jesse and I were talking about was the importance of co-parenting, especially in this day and age. So, if I may share, we understand that you had to raise your children despite being separated from your partners. Now, how important was co-parenting for you in this process?
Um, I think it's really important. I couldn't allow. I mean, my ex. Sorry, let me start again. Um, my first daughter was from one marriage. Then I had a few relationships. My next two daughters were from a different relationship. Uh, but all my partners have been great, and they realize that life doesn't revolve around your children. Your children fit in like your job fits in. You fit into them, they fit into you. I've never tried to revolve my life around my children. I know a lot of people who try and live through their children and end up being very bitter, both them and the children, because the children find out, hey, my parents have given up so much for me. So I think it's about trying to meld
But
and
Joe,
fit in.
just 1 second, if I can jump in here. It's very interesting that you say that your children fit in to the rest of your life, so you are still you. But the challenge that I think a lot of people find, namely me as well, is like, how do you separate that? When you become a parent, and then you have two, three, or more kids, your life ends up going around them. So how did you come to that, and how did you find that it was easy to sort of separate that and say, well, my life is still my life, and I will, fit my children around me.
Just it's a long answer. Um, I'm a fourth generation martial artist. My uncle taught in Malaysia, I taught here, and I live in my school. This is my apartment side. I live in the school, and I'll tell you a little story. When we got this premises, um, I brought my daughter here one night, and we were cleaning it out, getting ready for renovation. And she said to me, "Dad, is it going to cost a lot?" And I said, "Yes." And she says, "Do we have the money?" And I said, "No." And she says, "Do the school part first. We'll be okay."
Aww.
So, for me, that said a lot. And uh, I guess they see the value in what I do. They see the value in who I am. I see the value in who they are. I've never forced my daughters to do martial arts. It's their choice if they want to do it, and if they don't, they don't. I respect them as individuals, and I think they respect what I have to do. Um, and it's not as simple and clear cut as that, but I don't think anyone else has a choice, because if you sacrifice everything for your kids, you'll end up regretting it, and your kids will end up regretting it too. It's about harmonizing. It's about and I'm not speaking blindly because I've never held a relationship together ever. But
And I think
when
what you
your kids,
said
it's different.
is really powerful because it brings home to the reason as to why we started Where's the Manual? Because in reality, when you become a parent, whether you realize it or not, so much of your life is centered around your children. And what you're actually telling us is really be mindful to perhaps have that reset button and say, am I functioning as how I should be? And me being a person as best I can helps me to be an effective parent versus trying to live my life through, well, round two, through their lives and essentially just ending up having someone who's growing up resenting you because you are allowing, whatever dreams or frustrations or aspirations that you had or didn't get when you were younger to be, expectations that are put on to someone that may have their own dreams. And amazingly, Jessy, I just had a conversation with a group of youth advocates less than a week ago, and what they said were exactly this. We were talking about child online protection, and the children said, sometimes we feel that our parents are just trying to live the expectations, the disappointments, and the fears, and I suppose visions and dreams that they had that they couldn't get when they were younger through us. And there's that element of I suppose resentment or that element of I am my own person too. I've got my own dreams. So
Can I
thank you
can I
for
jump in
pointing
here?
that
Can
out.
I jump in here a
I know,
second?
I know, and
Sorry, just go on.
no, go for it, Joe.
Okay. So,
I've said this
uh,
my
a
points
few
many times already. Go for it.
a few years ago, uh, statistics showed that in Australia there was a high rate of suicide amongst migrant teenagers, because it boiled down to the fact that their parents tried to bring them up and impose on them the values and the upbringing that they had, the rules. And they looked around at Caucasian children saying, hey, they got so much freedom. On Saturdays and Sundays, I'm going to language school. I don't have any time. So we all make the mistake of trying to bring our children up the way we were brought up. I know I made that mistake too. And it's not I don't think it's a cultural thing. I think it's an age thing. And I think it's a time thing. Our children are nothing like what we were. They're so much more intelligent. Of course, we don't like them on their devices as much as they are, but I think we have to learn to accept that and maybe channel that. But there's no way we can impose the way. If I brought up my kids the way I was brought up, I'd be put in jail.
Yes,
So,
I
it
think
doesn't
same
work
goes
that
for
way.
most of us.
Yeah, and we
Um,
base everything on experience and advice, and experience and advice is usually based on other people's mistakes. So let's rewrite our own books. for ourselves and for our own children. Yeah.
Those are nuggets of information, Joe, because you say things like we need to harmonize experience and advice is all based on our own I guess life experiences or how we were brought up by our parents as well. But here brings me to my next question. You're a martial artist, trained for years and years and years, and you formed a way of thinking, discipline, focus. And some might say these are very masculine traits, although we are all for equality, yes. But in this pretext of you being a martial artist and then having three daughters, was there this issue of how do I now be more gentle or softer with my daughters in their upbringing? Or did you bring them up in those same structure and frames as well? Any resentment then? Like, Dad, you're too hard on us, you don't understand, not everything is combat.
Okay, so no, not to that extent, but I've been doing martial arts for now 48 years, and I've had a lot of kids that come through my school into adulthood and stuff. I've had parents bring their kids to me for advice, etc. But when it came to my own kids, all that went out the window. They say you need a village to bring up a child. So sometimes an auntie or an uncle or a coach can say to my children things that I can't say. I can say things to other people's kids that they can't say. And all my nous as a martial arts teacher went out the window when it came to my own children. So rewrite the books, throw the books out.
This reminds me of that Hollywood movie. I think it was either The Rock or Vin Diesel being like an assassin or a hired killer, and suddenly he becomes a dad or needs to take care of children, and all that discipline goes pew.
Right, so this has been our conversation with Joe Thambu, dialing in all the way from Melbourne, Australia. We're talking about raising kids as a single parent, or if you're co-parenting. Many a times there aren't the answers, and it's difficult because if you have a good relationship with your partner, then great. But many a times that's not the case as well. Joe has raised three girls. They are 32, 16, and 14. As a single father, all the way in Australia as well. He's originally from Malaysia, and we're talking to him from a perspective of a father, of course. And guys, I just want to bring you both back into the conversation. Many times we say single father, single mother, son and daughter, and we still go back to kind of generalizing. But the individual is still the individual. Joe, when we spoke off the air last night to set up this call, you said one thing. You said, no child is similar. Every child is different. And it really doesn't matter, boy or girl, mother or father. So could you put into perspective, really, what is it that we get wrong when we are raising children? We know there's no manual. We're attempting to write that manual. But what are some of the misconceptions you think parents have sort of from the get-go?
Firstly, there's an old thing: if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. Anyone who tries to give you advice on parenting, ignore them. I can only speak about my experiences, and every child, all three daughters have been different. The first one was brought up as a single child, and then 16 years later I had another one, and then 2 years later another one. So those two were brought up together. It was different. And even the same child, over the years, their personalities change. So you have to change your tact as well. One size does not fit all. And what we were talking about earlier, the mistakes we make as parents is we try and teach our kids and expect them to learn. Lessons are not taught, lessons are learned. They have to embrace it, and how we give it to them is one thing. How they accept it is more important. So the best lessons at the wrong time isn't going to work. And experience, and everyone's got an opinion, everyone's got advice. Ignore all that. Go with your heart. Go with your heart. You will make mistakes, but it will be your mistakes, not someone else's mistakes. And experience and advice is based on other people's mistakes. Make your own and be honest about it. One more thing, if I can add, in martial arts, we say the further you go down the road, the harder it is to come back. And as Asians, we're stubborn. We have this way and we want to go down that way. If you find it's not working, turn around, do a U-turn, go back, change direction. Use anything in your tool bag to get across to your children. And treat your child as a person, not as your child. Treat them as a person. They're different from you. They're a product of you, but they're different from you.
Really, there's a poem that says your children are people of their own. And thank you so much for sharing that, because in the session you also spoke about the importance of co-parenting, regardless of what the situation that your relationship is. Also be able to make micro moments where you're able to make memories with your children. And in those memories, those lessons will be shared. You would learn something as a parent, and hopefully they will learn something about you and about themselves in that moment. And
you set the bar for yourself, and you never hit that bar. You never, you always feel like you're left behind, especially as a single parent. You feel like you're not doing enough, you're not doing the right thing. And sorry, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but every day I feel I'm not doing enough for my children. I wish I could do more. But
very
then
much
again,
so. I think it's something that's shared by all of us. You're right in saying that as a parent, we try our best. But even for those that say they're doing it all and are amazing, I'm pretty sure inside they're asking themselves, "Am I doing all that I can do?"
the flip side to that is that you can tell how spoiled a child is by how much their parents sacrifice for them. And that's a truism. Most spoiled children are the ones whose parents sacrifice a whole lot for them. And because they take things for granted, there's this expectation, there's this sense of the world owes me, sense of entitlement. Growing up, I never had that sense of entitlement. But as parents, we want to give our kids what we didn't have. Nothing wrong with that, but how we do that is what is important.
So, question is, how do we do that?
If I could tell you that, then you should kill me. That would be a rubbish answer on my part. I wish I had that answer, but I think be honest with yourself, with your children. Not too honest with the children, but be honest with yourself. Do your best, and if you feel you need to change it, change it. Never be afraid of going back. Never be afraid of apologizing for a mistake. And being a single parent, I think the most important thing is to make sure that you value your ex-partner.
Yes.
Even though you don't get along, even though you're miles apart and whatever, value them. If you don't value them, your kids won't value them. So show your ex-partner some respect in conversation. You might not feel it, but fake it. And if you don't do that, then your kids start to have this binary thinking, either mom or dad. It's your job to try and keep them whole and keep some sort of sense of harmony. Might be fake, but it's for the better. And remember, as a parent, as a martial artist, sure, it's about me, it's about my school, etc., etc. But as a parent, it ain't about me. It's about the child.
Okay. Joe, I wanted to pick on something that you said earlier, and the importance of not making your children pick sides. And the reality of it is, even when we're not separated, even when parents are together, we are often guilty of making our children take sides. even when we don't think we're doing it. So it can be anything as simple as something positive, like who loves you the most, or daddy will always do this for you. Especially when you are in a relationship that's tenuous, or you're separated, this happens even more. And in the children that I see, this actually does have a negative impact on them. What are your thoughts?
Uh, you have to ask that question, why? Why am I saying this? Why am I thinking like that? Is it because of me? Is it because of the child? And if it's because of the child, you will not say that. If the why is because I want to be play one-upmanship on my ex-partner, then that's wrong. So ask the why. That question, why am I saying this? If you can answer that truthfully, I guarantee you won't say that. I don't agree with everything my ex-partners have said, but I will not openly disagree. I would just say, hey, your mom's got reasons for saying that, um, etc. And then I will talk to them privately about it and find out what they want. But if I'm playing that game, I got to ask myself, why am I doing it? And we're all
Yeah.
better people, and that especially when it comes to kids, we're better people. Ask yourself why, and you'll come up with the right answer.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to chip in there as well, Joe, is to say, did you ever sit down with your partners or or the exes to say, well, this is how we're gonna bring up our child, or these are some of the issues I'm having with the way you bring up our child? Because now it seems to be that there are many more frequencies of this happening. And what are some of your suggested solutions? Do they need to go for counseling? Do they need to sit down and map out how they want to work their child out? I mean, what are some of the tools that are in the bag for single parents to navigate through this journey of parenting?
Jess, you're asking an Indian who was born in the 60s about counseling. Ain't gonna happen. I don't do counseling. I'm too pig-headed about that. Uh, I when the girls are with their mother, then it's her rules. When they're with me, it's my rules. We try and find some common ground. And you know how hard it is to speak to an ex. It's really hard. You have to find that common ground, and for everyone, it's different. And seriously, it's never 50-50. So sometimes, when it comes to picking schools or subjects, sure, I will give the mother 80% go. I'll have a 20% say. Sometimes on certain things, I want an 80% say. So it's that balance, finding that balance, and also sometimes saying, okay, I'll lose this fight. Let it go. I'll let it go. You, as a parent, you don't have to win every fight against your ex. Pick your battles, and even when you're picking your battles, remember it's the child who's who's the beneficiary of that battle.
Yeah.
So you don't have to win every time. Actually, you don't even have to win all at any time. It's the child who has to win. And
Beautifully said.
That's true.
and remember when all is said and done, there's an old saying: our children are our parents' revenge on us. So what goes around comes around, and yeah.
It is definitely. It's been tough. It's been tough. And I think this is a shout out to all parents watching here in Malaysia, hopefully in Australia and the rest of the world as well. We see you, we hear you. It's tough whether you're a single parent, you're co-parenting, whether you're parenting with your spouse. Nonetheless, it's still tough. Joe, any last words for our viewers on this episode today?
Yeah, hug your kids every chance you get.
Oh,
And
thank you. That's a beautiful message.
that one comes from the heart. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We'll speak to you soon. Stay warm and stay
Okay.
safe
All
in
right.
Melbourne.
I will. I will. Thank you. Thank you. It was enjoyable, except for the drilling. But thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Jess. Take care.
Everything that he said either hit close to home or it was something that I'm sure uh, as parents we can relate to. And he's speaking not only as a sensei or as a martial artist, but also as a parent who has raised um, children together and apart. So he's done it both ways.
Absolutely. Not an easy feat. I think many people would have become very sour or bitter about it. My kids are actually knocking on the door. This is the first episode Nadia and I are doing kind of remotely, and we're dialing in. Heavy rain as well, not helping with the connection of where we are. But nonetheless, we're going to quickly recap. And I think my takeaway, so many. I mean, where's Joe's book? It seems like as if he's got some
Yeah,
kind of manual in his
he's like
pocket.
Tuesdays with Maury, right?
Oh yeah, what a great book. So look, some of the things that we wanted to recap. He said to harmonize that, and you are your own. I think that's such a great and big reminder for us parents. We get so lost or so tangled in this web of wanting the best for our kids, and we go to great extents, and we lose ourselves in that because there's work and there's family life and there's finances and then there's weekend activities. But this word, just this simple word, harmonize, just kind of really put things in perspective.
That's right. And for me, some of the key take home message, he said that remember that your children are your own. They are individuals in their own right. So living vicariously through them is not going to give you a second chance at life. Be wary of the micro moments and take take hold of them to be able to make memories. Also be willing to be vulnerable. He also said that being a parent, it wasn't always about him being right and being in control. And as a father, it wasn't about him winning all the arguments. And at the end of the day, it was always back to the child, what was best for the child, what was best for that situation. And it could well mean that between you and your other half, either together or apart, will need to find that common ground. He said words like common ground. He said words like make peace, that you're not going to win all the wars. And I think some of the things that he said really resonated, even if you're thinking of having children and you don't yet have them.
No, absolutely. And some other very salient points that came up in our discussion is that lessons are not taught; they are learned. And this, I guess, also a way for us to let loose a little bit, to chill a little bit. That our children are intelligent, they are smart in their own way innately, and they will find their way. We are meant to be more than we're guides, but we shouldn't sort of overpower them as well. And maybe this is better said for older kids. But nonetheless, he said
Yeah.
he did admit that it takes a village, and rewrite the
Yes.
books or throw the books out. Find your own way. We try to rely so much on who did what, whose child is
Yeah.
excelling at what.
Stop comparing. We're trying. And as parents, like
That's
we
it.
always say in every episode, it's a journey. We are gonna get things wrong. We're not gonna get everything right. And we have to make peace with the fact that as parents, we're kind of grappling with so many things happening. We're trying to find ways and means to cope and to be the best individual that we can be. So the same way our kids are growing and finding their own space, we're finding our own voice. We're trying to figure out what the best parenting method would, the I we often find that for the first child, you're often a little bit more strict because you said you wanted to set the tone, you've read all the books that are to read, and then by the time it's your fourth or your fifth or your sixth child, it doesn't matter how many kids you've got, you're like, oh well, the kids will, she'll survive, it's gonna be all right. So
I know, it's so funny. And a recap on, I guess, the most important takeaway today: hug your kids every chance you get. My kids have been knocking out the door right now, working from home. I'm gonna go and give them a big, big hug. And
wonderful.
Nadia, you too. I know you've got a busy day ahead as well.
Thank you so much. Of course, join, follow, share your comments as we try and figure out our journey as parents. We would love to hear from you if you have suggestions on what we should be talking about, on where's the manual, or even if you want to have a little chit chat with us on air, let us know so that we can get in touch with you. This is really the tribe and the community where we grow together, we learn together, and hopefully make happy memories as families.
That's right. We'll see you. Happy weekend, everyone, and happy parenting. Bye-bye.
Bye.